Lesson 3-4, Dividing Rational Numbers. So we're going to talk about the inverse property of multiplication. And this property is the product of a number and its multiplicative inverse, or sometimes you will hear the word reciprocal, is 1. So what that means is that 2/3 times 3/2, so the reciprocal or its multiplicative inverse is 1. Let's look at the examples below. Find the multiplicative inverse of the fraction. So I'm going to pause here for a second and give you just a moment to try to find these inverses. For the first example, we have 7/16, so the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal to this would be 16/7. The next example is -6 1/3. To find the multiplicative inverse, you first have to turn this into an improper fraction. So we multiply and add. So we get -19/3. So the multiplicative inverse here would be 3/19, and it's still a negative. To divide a fraction by another fraction, you have to multiply by its multiplicative inverse or its opposite. So we have 4/9 divided by 3/5. So how we do this is we multiply your original fraction by the multiplicative inverse of the second fraction. So 4/9 times 5/3. So we multiply straight across. We get 20 out of 27. We look at those numbers and see if we can simplify, and we cannot. So our final answer is 20/27. Pause the video to try a few examples on your own. 1/3 divided by 7/15. Multiply by the reciprocal, and for the first example, you're going to get 15/21. Second example, -6/7 divided by 12. You want to make sure that you turn that 12 into a 12/1. You multiply by the reciprocal, and you get -6/84. Now you can simplify. So you take 2 into each, so you have -3/42. Then you can divide the numerator by and the denominator by 3, which gets you a final answer of -1/14. We can also divide fractions by mixed numbers. So we have a mixed number divided by a mixed number. To do this, you turn them into improper fractions. So the first one would be -14/3 divided by 28/9, because you multiply and add and keep your denominator. Then you have to find the reciprocal of your second fraction. So we would multiply it by 9/28. So if you do this, you multiply straight across, and so you have 14 times 9, which is 126, and then you have 28 times 3, which is 84, and that is a negative. Now you want to simplify so that you can get back into your original form. The simplified form of this is -1 1/2. I'm just going to do a quick review on how to simplify a improper fraction down to a mixed number. So what you need to do is you need to simplify this by taking your 126 and dividing it by 84 to figure out how many times this can go in. So here, 84 can go into 126 one time, and so then you have 126 minus your 84, which gives you a leftover 42. So instead of adding a decimal point here, your 1 is your whole number, the remainder is your numerator, and the number that you were dividing by is your denominator. So now you have 1 over 42, and it's negative because of the negative sign we started with, but now you can simplify the 42 over 84 to the 1/2 to get the answer from the previous slide. We can also use fractions in word problems, and we can use them to find the number of equal size groups in a variety of examples. So this example here is a box of cereal contains 15 2/3 ounces. If one bowl holds 2 2/5 ounces, how many bowls of cereal are in one box? So that means you need to take the whole box and divide it by 2 2/5. So if we do that, we have our improper fraction on this side. That will get us 47 over 3 divided by, multiply and add 12 over 5. You multiply by the reciprocal, so 5 over 12. So if you multiply by the reciprocal, you're multiplying 47 times 5, which will get you 235, and 12 times 3, which is 36. Again, you want to make sure that you simplify this and you break down that fraction into 6 1/2. So that means that there are 6 1/2 bowls of cereal in one box of cereal. We can also divide algebraic fractions the same way that we do when we're dividing numeric fractions. You just want to make sure that you are trying to get your variables together, and you're pretty much going to use the same process to do that. So we first want to multiply by the inverse, so our first fraction stays the same, and we multiply by the 7 over 10b, and now we just work on simplifying. So the b divided by b would go away. The 5 can go in the 10, so this we can divide this by 5 and get 1. We can divide the 10 by 5 and get 2. So then we are left with 1a over 6 times 7 over 2. So now you can go ahead and just multiply straight across like normal, and you would get 7a over 12. And if you don't know what the variable is, then you just go ahead and leave it with the 7a. But if you do know what the variable is, then you can plug the variable answer in and you can solve. Pause the video to complete the lesson review. Make sure you show me the lesson review when you receive verification for watching this video.